We are so back. The Red Sox potentially back. This offseason is truly like make or break. They can absolutely get the juice back into this thing this offseason if they write the goddamn checks. And that is the major question. There's already been proposed some ballsy moves to get a starting pitcher or two in here. This is a decent enough free agent class. There's a couple of big fish in this pond that the Red Sox can be players for. And it's already begun, right? We talked to Logan Gilbert, Garrett Crochet in the trade market. And now the talks of Sasaki, Teoscar Hernandez, and Juan Soto. Yes, that Juan Soto. Jeff Passan reporting that Juan Soto is going to meet with the Red Sox this week. Meeting with Toronto first. Toronto made a big push in the Ohtani deal, by the way. Obviously did not get him, but they made a push there. So he's going to meet with Toronto first, and then he's going to meet with the Red Sox in Southern California this week. The other players seem to be, of course, the Yankees, the Mets, and two other mystery teams. Boy, Juan, do you want $600 million from the New York Yankees, or would you like the mystery team? I think that would be a really funny way to go about it. You know, if like the Pirates were just interested, but not telling Soto what team it was. They were just like, hey, here's the contract offer. You know, you don't know what team it is. It's actually the Minnesota Twins. All right, fine. Do it. But apparently the Red Sox are legit in this pursuit of Juan Soto. Where have we heard this before? These are the interest kings we're talking about. They've been interested in every free agent that's gone on the market the last couple of years. The Teoscar Hernandez interest also is, pretty not surprising, unsurprising. They were interested in him last year. And it felt like for a minute there that they were the front runners to get Teoscar Hernandez. They don't. And it screws them over. To be frank, they needed a right-handed power hitter for most of the year. Tyler O'Neill, I thought, did a good job, but doesn't hit with guys on base. And Teoscar Hernandez could have been that mashing right-handed hitter to bring in the same way you did with JD Martinez in 2018. Could have been a very similar scenario. Instead, he hits 35 homers for the Dodgers, and they win the World Series. And he's on the market again. So that would make sense. But the Juan Soto deal, if somehow the Red Sox can pull off a Juan Soto signing, that is franchise altering, potentially. If the Red Sox go out and actually land Juan Soto, that changes the game again in the AL East. Like, that is the only thing right now I think that could get that Red Sox interest anywhere close to what it was 20 years ago. Anywhere close to that Red Sox-Yankee rivalry that we knew and loved. Because it's not that way anymore, obviously. 2021, you had a little peek into it. 2018, they played in the division series. There was some hatred there, but the Red Sox were comfortably better. The Red Sox, even on a 100-win Yankee team, the Red Sox were better. And the Red Sox embarrassed them in 2021. So you had a little bit there, but there weren't the villains that we used to have, right? The Jeters, the A-Rods, the Ortizes, the Pedros. We didn't have that, and we still don't. As much as we want to hate Aaron Judge, it's like, why? Or maybe the Giancarlo Stanton thing would have brought it back for a little bit because the Red Sox were pushing for Stanton, and then he went to the Yankees in that trade, and there was that Derek Jeter aspect of it. But that didn't really pan out either. It was not the hatred the same way it was with A-Rod or Johnny Damon. A-Rod was supposed to be a Red Sox, and then he becomes a Yankee. Johnny Damon was a Red Sox and became a Yankee. Like those had some hatred there. But now you put in a Juan Soto who, had a great season with the Yankees this year after a trade that they went out and got him, assuming that he would re-sign. And he helps them go to the World Series. And then if he signs with the Red Sox, oh boy. hang on to your hats, because that would get the pot boiling in this rivalry again. Is it ever going to reach 03, 04? Probably not. Probably not. That would take a whole lot of shit. And it would probably need the Red Sox going a couple of decades without winning a World Series in order for that to get back. But if you want to get the pot boiling on this thing again, this could be what would do it. Juan Soto coming to the Red Sox, because it would take obviously somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 or $600 million over a span of a decade and a half. That's kind of the numbers we're seeing now. 14 years, $650 million. That is like being able to buy half a baseball team kind of wealth that this guy is about to walk into. And I'm seeing this trend recently on Twitter, but I want to debunk it. He would be worth it. Okay? Because people are asking, like, should he be even close to Ohtani money? He should. Ohtani is the better player. Ohtani is probably the best player in baseball, right? But Juan Soto is right up there as one of the best hitters in all of baseball. And, oh, by the way, he's 26 years old, right? Like, he's going to be in his age 26 season this year. He has not even entered his prime yet. And the numbers have him up there with Hall of Famers. And he's only 26. In fact, this was a really good note. For his career, Soto has slashed 285, 421, and 532 while averaging 35 homers and 102 RBI over 162 games. He's already won a World Series with the Nationals in 2019. And this year in the postseason, he hit 327 with 4 homers, 9 RBI, and 12 runs scored. But to put it in a historical context, this was the note. Soto is in historic company as he enters his prime. As Passan noted, Soto is 8th all-time in OPS plus among players with 3,000 or more plate appearances through their age 25 season. His OPS plus of 160 trails only Ty Cobb, Mickey Mantle, Mike Trout, Jimmy Fox, Albert Pujols, Tris Speaker, and Rogers Hornsby. You might have heard of them. That is a murderer's row of some of the best hitters in the history of baseball. Juan Soto is putting his name in that discussion. I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good. But the only main concern I have for the Red Sox, and it's a small concern, is that it doesn't really fill any of the holes that the Red Sox had in this year's team. Anyone would like to add a Juan Soto, and that production is that production. But if you're getting bogged down into the roster and plugging holes, this doesn't necessarily do that. The thing that I think it would help out with, obviously, is making up for the power and production you're not getting from Masataka Yoshida, and then some, right? You were hoping Yoshida could be a 20 to 25 home run guy, and he's not become that, and he's not been healthy, and you could replace him with a guy who's actually a little bit better defensively for Soto, who's not a great outfielder, but better than Yoshida, who is DHing most of this year. And, oh, by the way, I'll probably give you 35 to 40 home runs instead and knock in 120 RBI instead of trying to get Yoshida to the 100 mark. So in that case, yeah, it's a big time upgrade. Don't get me wrong. But where the Red Sox really lacked this year was starting pitching and right-handed power. And I'm wondering, if you go out and make the big splash and get Juan Soto, is that going to hinder you from filling those holes? Because those are more pressing on this team. And if the Red Sox are really going to do the all-in spending thing, there is a world where they can do all three, where they can just throw everything they can at Juan Soto, still give a pretty nice and cozy 4-year deal to Teoscar Hernandez, fill that right-handed power gap, and make a trade for one of these starting pitchers, be it Gilbert, be it Garrett Crochet. And that probably gets you out of the Corbin Burns, Blake Snell free agency race. Just probably fine. As much as I would like either one of those guys, if you're going out and getting Soto and Hernandez, I will take getting one of the young starting pitchers under team control for a couple more years at the risk of losing some prospects, which could happen. But I wonder if you go out and get a guy like Soto, does that change the pieces that you're willing to move on from? And by that, I mean, if you go out and get Juan Soto, could you throw in Wilyer Abreu in a trade? A guy whom I like and don't necessarily want them to give up, but you can, get rid of a guy like that or a Tristan Casas much more readily when you have a Juan Soto rather than the alternative of, am I going to need to dip into the prospect pool here? Am I going to need to throw in a guy like Meyer or Kyle Teal or Roman Anthony, the number one prospect in baseball, to go and get one of these pitchers? If you get Soto and that's making up for a ton of your production that you didn't get necessarily last year, now you're thinking, okay, I can trade my young major league ready guys, be it Casas, be it Wilyer Abreu, Masa Yoshida. If he wants to go, throw his contract in there, go right ahead. But those kinds of things can be solved with a Juan Soto signing. A lot of things can be solved with a Juan Soto signing. Is it that apparently it's the Red Sox top priority? That's what all these reports are saying. Priority number one is to go out and get Juan Soto. Does it fill all your holes? No. But it's tough for me to sit here and think of negative things about getting a guy like Juan Soto, one of the top 5 or 10 hitters, at worst top 10 hitter in all of baseball, and mashed with the Yankees this year, mashed in this division, and mashed pretty well on the road. It wasn't just a short porch Yankee Stadium thing. I mean, this guy was a pro's pro. And as you saw with the Yankees pitching and their defense and the bottom third of their lineup, it was Judge and Soto that got them there, with a mix of some Giancarlo Stanton in the postseason. Those guys at 3 and 4, 4 and 5 in the lineup carried the Yankees to the World Series. I'll take a guy like that. I'll take Teoscar Hernandez too. Give me 40 homers at Fenway Park with Teoscar Hernandez. And if you can avoid, Roman Anthony, Kyle Teal, Marcelo Meyer being thrown into a deal for a starting pitcher like Crochet or Logan Gilbert, which seems unlikely, but if you can figure that out, Craig Breslow for president. If you can get all 3 of those guys to your roster next year. But I'm telling you, what Juan Soto does is more than just next year's team, next year's roster. It ignites a rivalry again, makes people take the Red Sox seriously again, and could potentially get them to contending mode again by adding a top 5 or 10 player in the game in Juan Soto. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. This might need to be this kind of Curt Schilling thing. Craig Breslow, I hope you don't have Thanksgiving plans. That might be where you seal the deal, just the way Theo did with Curt Schilling in Arizona 20 years ago. I will believe it when I see it, but I will be on pins and needles. This is what baseball needs. It's what the Red Sox need. It's what baseball needs. They need a legitimate hot stove, and they need it in November. I don't know if that'll be the case. I wouldn't be surprised if Soto drags this thing out to January, February, the way all these deals are now, unfortunately. But this would be great for baseball if there's an awesome sweepstakes and Soto goes somewhere that's not the Yankees in November or December. And it would be perfect for baseball if he goes to the Red Sox.
We are Rogue Media Sports.